And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this terrific Tuesday, August 18th. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous afternoon outside with temperatures in the 70s across much of the area. There's a little bit of a breeze, and we had a round of severe weather into Lakes Country yesterday evening. Specifically, Otter Tail County got hit pretty good with anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain across, especially northeastern parts of Otter Tail County, where they got hit pretty good. But again, just a few sprinkles in the FM area and into Clay County. So not much, unfortunately. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And boy, Bridgette, we cannot buy any widespread rain across here. And it's our little pocket. Gary just posted, and I'll have this on our social media tomorrow. Gary has he just posted his outlook for the northern and central plains going into harvest, going through the end of September. So in regards to precip expectations, how we've been for the month of August, and oddly enough, out in the northwestern part of the state, some areas up around, let's say, Watford and those areas, 400% above normal in regards to precip. Now, that sounds like a lot. It's not. But, I mean, that western part of the state has actually seen above normal precip for this month of August, while the only below normal pocket in the state, wouldn't you know, basically Grand Forks through Fargo and over into far western Minnesota. We're just in that little pocket. The rest of the state for the month has had at or above normal precip. Just our little area.
Now, some of that, first of all, most folks are going to tell you that Trail County, which again encompasses a big chunk of that area between Fargo and Grand Forks, that's probably one of the driest areas. Yesterday, because I don't live in Trail County, I'm 3 miles south of that in Cass, we did have about 4 tenths of rain yesterday afternoon in a very short, quick shower. Yeah. But the pea-sized hail that came with it was less than necessary. Now, once that got over to Otter Tail, my understanding is it got to be more like quarter-size hail, so there was a little bit of damage. I haven't heard many reports as far as, what did it do to the crop. Not enough is what we're hearing. Now,
really? Okay.
West of Gardner, North Dakota, you have fields that already are being seen by crop adjusters and being zeroed out for a lack of yield. And that's a really heavy clay gumbo. So we're starting to see some of those things already begin to change. Personally, I'm near Wichita, Kansas. It is 95 degrees. I'm glad I actually left Oklahoma City this morning, where it was 100 degrees at 11:30 in the morning. Oh. It's really sitting under a lot of heat. They are dry conditions down here as well. I see a lot of cornfields that are shot. There's some areas of the country that are really suffering, and yet we look at Indiana with record flooding. I've got pictures from a Twitter friend who's got standing bean fields completely underwater. And at this point in the season, those bean fields would probably be the beans would be about 3 feet tall. So wow. Big changes depending on where you are across the country. Very big.
Man. Yeah, and I wish I had better news in the forecast. There are some rain chances, but again, I still don't see anything that looks to be widespread. But for the rest of today, it's a beautiful day if you have outdoor plans. We're looking at sunshine. There is a little bit of a breeze out of the northwest at about 10 to 20, and highs today should reach the upper 70s. So pretty close to normal for this time of the year. Then clear skies, refreshingly cool. The cool spot in the state this morning was Willow City up in Bottineau County, 37. That's not too far away from frost potential. Now, we're not going to be that chilly tomorrow morning, but we'll bottom out near 50, so there will be areas in the 40s across the area with light northwest winds. And then for Wednesday, look for a sunny start to the day, then partly cloudy late in the day, highs in the low 80s. Now, there will be a system coming through here Wednesday night that will give us a chance for some isolated storms. Again, the keyword isolated. And we'll drop down into the mid to upper 50s Wednesday night. And then Thursday, sunshine returns, a little warmer, mid to upper 80s. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, low to mid 80s, dry conditions until Sunday evening, Sunday night. Our latest models are trying to print out a little more precip on that Sunday night event, but again, unfortunately, nothing widespread. But there could be pockets of 1 inch plus precip across the area. Pinpointing that this far out, nearly impossible, but kind of like yesterday where areas out around Wadena picked up a little over 2 inches. We could have a similar situation to that coming in here Sunday night. And then temperatures will start off next week on the warm side and then cool things off a little bit. I wish I had better news. There's just not a big rain event in the offing for our area. All of it's been down to our south into the Central Plains from eastern Nebraska through Iowa, Illinois, and into Indiana, like you were talking about earlier. And some of those areas, Bridgette, 7 for the month of August, and they've been in a very active track, 700% above normal for rainfall. Obviously, that's not a big surprise in some of those areas, but some very, very heavy rainfall is the main storm track, unfortunately, just to our south.
And for some of us, we've been through this before, right? It's not the end of the world. We know that we're going to get through it. It really feels like the end of the world because it is hot and dry and we're kind of done with it. I was asked earlier today, well, can't we insure for this? As a farm, you can get crop insurance, but I don't remember the last time I heard anybody say, man, I filed an insurance claim and I really turned out well on that, whether it's with the vehicle, home damage, anything. And so that's the same thing that you would see in the case of crop insurance. You're hoping for break even, not looking at profitability. And that's on top of 3 years of hoping to break even, not stacking up profitability. So there's going to be some great concerns amongst those growers out there as we go forward through this harvest season. Thanks to Chad Wheeler, he sent video yesterday. Pre-lift is going on for sugar beets, and with the wind that was going on and those loose soils, just so much dust. And I didn't ask Chad this, but I would surmise, and he can certainly let us know differently, I would surmise that a big concern would also be that sugar beets at this point are small and they're not being caught by the machinery to be put in the trucks because they're too small and they're falling through. They would be heavily concentrated in sugar because it's a smaller area until the beet took some size to it. For those of you who have some of those weather comments and questions, we'd love to hear them. You can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. And additionally, Nate Thorsroot with JLA Insurance, well, he's a farmer too, and he's in Trail County. So if you have questions about what could be going on with crop insurance, etc., you might want to have that discussion with Nate sooner rather than later, just so that you can catch up on any changes in situation happening there.
And Bridgette,
you can also be. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I had an email, and I didn't have the answer for it, but they wanted to know. First it was kind of a snarky email in regards to our ag community. So I won't say the snarky part because it's not needed. But they wanted to know what percentage of our farmers have crop insurance in regards to, like failed crops this year with the corn. I mean, that was the only sensible part of that email, but and I didn't have an answer. So any idea, like percentage wise, how I would guess a pretty high percentage.
So I'm just going to estimate, I'm going to say probably 3/4 of them have crop insurance. Now,
Okay.
Your level of coverage varies. Just like you can take either full coverage on a car or liability, you can take varying levels of coverage on your crop as well. So there can be some differences between what you see for insurance payments because of that.
Gotcha. Okay.
We appreciate all those calls. It was certainly, if you were out in Otter Tail County yesterday and if you have one of our darter plastic rain gauges, we'd love to have you share with us what you got in your rain gauge. Happy to hear those facts and figures from you. Again, you can email them to ag@flagfamily or weather@flagfamily.com. And thanks for always watching. You get to see us on the Lighthouse Commodities live stream brought to us on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Acres TV. And with this dry weather, if you're thinking, all right, I'm positive that I'm going to be planting a crop next year, it's going to rain a bunch, maybe I need some drain tile. Well, get a hold of Blake over at Landmark Companies. They are your local leader in farm drainage, and you want to talk to them about some early order discounts because they have precision drainage and proven results to go right along with it. We'll be busy today with Wednesday weather trivia from Darter Plastic. We also are going to be joined next by Chris Sherman from Tech Support Farm. We want to look into some topics that he has as our cybersecurity superhero because once again, agriculture, whether it is at the farm and production level to our processing level, is considered an incredibly high concern with national security, and we're going to find out more and talk with them. Well, guess what I learned over the livestock report for the American Ag Network? It's not Wednesday. I mean, I was pretty sure it was Wednesday, but no, It's not. I'm stunned.
Should have seen how me and Dean looked at each other through the glass when you said that. I was like, I only have 2 days left of the week. And then it hit me and I was like, it's not Wednesday.
Yeah, wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
Well, sorry. You guys do Wednesday weather trivia tomorrow. I'm going to be a little busy doing other things, so
All
it's
right.
on you. Okay. But meanwhile, we do have with us our guest today, and that is Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm. He is a bit of a cybersecurity superhero to many of us. And so, Chris, I wanted to start out with a question. I actually texted you over the weekend. I was needing to go get some printing done at like an Office Depot type place, and I had everything on my flash drive. And I thought, wait, but after I've used it at a business like that, I don't want to put that back in my laptop because what if it brings a virus or something along with? And would that probably just be good advice in general if you've used a flash drive somewhere else? Maybe not take it back home and bring everything with you like a kid with a cold from daycare?
Yes, I absolutely. And I think the answer that I gave you was I would recommend that you just right click on that file and reformat the hard drive, right? That's going to be the
Which I
easiest,
did.
method to fix that. Yes. And
Yeah.
I think it's also important that you do that only at the Office Max or the Office Depot, right? You do that at the computer that you've taken the documents off, and then that way when you pull it out, it's a brand new, fresh, factory reset flash drive. Don't put it into your computer and then try to do it there.
Okay, that makes very good sense to all of us. Got it.
Yep.
And another thing, I see folks carrying around a flash drive because they have documents on they want to take to their accountants, etc., which I understand, but that's not necessarily your safest backup because you can in fact run into trouble, maybe static electricity, etc. So, what's a better way to get some of those documents transferred safely?
Okay, so when we're talking about flash drives, ironically, there's a couple things that I would say. Number one is if you right click on it, also there's a selection on there called BitLocker, and what it will do is it will encrypt the data on that flash drive so that it will talk specifically one of two ways, either specifically with one computer. So it will only be a flash drive that works with your laptop and that's it. Or you can do it in a way that it locks the flash drive so you have to have a password to open the flash drive. Both of those are really good ways of securing the data. The only problem is that if you do lose the password, you're kind of SOL unless you have the encryption keys. So that is something that's important to keep in mind. The other thing that I would say is that you are right, static electricity or just anything that's a SSD or a solid state drive is going to be problematic because the data, once you lose it, once it's corrupted, it's gone forever. Now the old mechanical hard drives, those we could extract the data and pull that, but unfortunately with these new ones it's a one and done situation. So to come all the way full circle and answer your question, there are online cloud platforms that have high security encrypted Dropboxes. One is called AppBox. Another one's like Dropbox. Google G Suite has a really nice feature where you can share documents with your accountants and your other professionals through a link, and so those are also good alternatives.
I think it's a good time as a reminder because we do have folks that will be talking with their crop insurance agents, their bankers, their accountants, and they want to find secure ways to share documents at this point with sensitive information on them, especially regarding their farms, ranches, and agribusinesses. What about DocuSign? And I would say that, first of all, checking the legitimacy of that is a big deal when you get the link, but are they as safe as we think they are?
I think the DocuSign is more about it. Its focus is far more in regards to the custody chain or the chain of custody with that document, proving that you were the person that signed it. It knows your IP address. It knows the date, the time. It stores all of that information, and therefore it becomes a legal signature on a digital platform. It's not necessarily. Yes, it's obviously encrypted and it's designed to be safe for transferring documents, but really their sole focus is to be admissible into court and have the proof that you were the one that signed it on this date and this time from that location.
That's an interesting take because usually we think about, wow, this is just a security function, but no, that's not necessarily the case.
No, it's far
Oh,
more of a legal function. It's proving that you were the person that signed it, and proving the how, what, when, and where, and enforcing, from a contractual standpoint. Yes, they definitely take steps to make sure that documents are safe and secured and encrypted, but really their role and the reason that people pay a subscription is so that you can get those legal signatures, and have them stored digitally.
I have more and more farms that I engage with who have an agritourism of some sort. Maybe you have a Airbnb rental on your property. Perhaps you have people coming for the pumpkin patch, the corn maze, and all the things, and you're offering Wi-Fi, but you're not keeping that separate from the Wi-Fi that you normally use to conduct your farm business. How big of a risk could that be to some of your sensitive information?
First of all, I like the expression agritourism because you're absolutely right. We have clients that do farm tours. They have Airbnbs. They've got these different facilities, and that is an increasing function of our agribusinesses. Um, the problem with the Wi-Fi and not segregating it and providing a guest Wi-Fi and having a secured farm Wi-Fi is that anybody on that network can then see the devices and see what you're doing on your computers, on your cell phones, those kinds of things. A good example, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we were down in South Dakota, and a lady approached us at a show and told us that they had I want to say it was one of those, contractors. They came in, said they would paint a house for X amount of dollars. They agreed. The guy and his brother came and painted the house, and one of them had a girlfriend that sat in the car, and the girlfriend got onto the Wi-Fi, got into their emails, and started posing as the vendors and sending them spoofed
Oh,
bills and changing the payment function, so that when this farm went to go pay their invoices for those vendors, they were actually paying the girl sitting in the driveway, and their Wi-Fi was unlocked, it was open,
wow.
and so that's yeah. I mean, this is real stuff. And granted, with agritourism, I absolutely see that as a problem, and especially that's increasing in popularity for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Chris, I know we've reached our bottom of the hour, but if we could ask one more question. In a conversation you and I were having earlier on, you made mention of something called a SCADA, an Industrial Control System Act? Attack.
Yeah.
What are we talking
Yeah.
about there?
So we're talking about in we are talking about SCADA attacks, or industrial control system attacks, and that's basically the taking over of equipment and machinery and the function of it remotely as a hacker. And a lot of times in the United States, we think about it from an industrial standpoint, like manufacturing equipment, that sort of thing. But on the farm, that translates as like your dryers, your dairy robotics. It goes into any of the like your JD Ops or your Climate Field View or any of those platforms that we use on a day-to-day basis. It's an attacker that comes in, takes over, and basically holds it hostage, or they do malicious activity with those things. I think the most recent one that we saw that is indicative of that would probably be the Fairlife attack. Um,
Oh, yes.
because that did shut down production, and we got hints that it possibly had gotten into the production floor itself, and that is what we're talking about. Another really good one that everybody might know and remember is what was called the Colonial Pipeline hack, and I think that was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and it was hackers that got into an oil pipeline, and they shut down oil movement on the East Coast for, I think it was close to a week, before they were able to get back in and take over that again. So those kinds of attacks on our farm are really becoming, an increasing threat. We've seen examples of that. I think it was last year the FBI had a team of hackers that broke into a combine on the Kansas State University, campus, and they demonstrated that they can do this, and they showed people how it works. Everybody's worried about somebody starting up their irrigators or running a combine into a ditch and rolling it. But really, I think a lot of it has a lot more to do with locking you out of your software platforms and your equipment, and forcing you to pay money because they know that you're desperate to get back out in the field and get business back online.
Whew. Those attacks are becoming too frequent. You just
They
listed
are.
a couple that have been happening more regularly, and that's not a positive at this point. So, no, I understand what we're saying. Chris, thanks for the time today. Much, much appreciated that you were willing to stay and answer those questions. And hopefully, you have a cool, well traveled day wherever you might be.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Have a great day.
All right, folks, don't forget to go find Chris at techsupport.farm, because he is not only the guy who makes sure that things are running smoothly, he can help assess what you may or may not need in order for that to get done even better. So give him a call. Give him a look at, again, techsupport.farm. When we come back, more headlines, weather, and such will carry on in just a few minutes.
And welcome back to Weather and
Dry
Ag
weather.
Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:39 in the afternoon, and temperatures outside in the low 70s. We're going to make it into the upper 70s, and I've had a couple of emails, Bridgette, about in regards to precip. In fact, a couple of emails saying that is Gary still sticking with near normal precip for our area for mid-August through the end of September. And the short answer is, for the most part, yes. Now, again, near normal precip, it's not going to be nearly enough to play catch up in terms of replenishing the much needed moisture, but at least we're on the right track of at least getting near normal precip across much of the area through the end of September. So obviously, there's going to be many dry periods mixed in there as well. But I was reading an article on, I believe it was Lake Havasu out out by Vegas, and how they are so low. Lake Havasu is so low, they're having trouble because that feeds into the Hoover and provides electricity for parts of the Southwest. And they're having trouble with that because lake levels are so low. Although they are getting some moisture for monsoon season down there, not nearly what they normally get. So this dry weather is having impacts across much of the country. Again, with the exception of that area in the Central Plains into the Great Lakes area where precip has been well above normal over the last month. So outside of that, it's been a very dry lower 48 for the most part. And so we're not the only ones suffering, but boy, I wish I had better news. And Gary posted a nice letter, an article today. If you're a subscriber to Weather 2020 and the LRC, I will be posting that up tomorrow on our social media. And it's in regards to this upcoming winter and how the El Nino is strengthening, and it's supposed to be at its peak. So our super El Nino, if you will, is supposed to peak early winter, probably around January. And with that being said, the majority, not all, but the majority of strong El Ninos like this provide above normal temps and below normal precip for the northern plains. Not what we want to hear. That's not always the case, and I believe it was 2015-16 where that was one of the exceptions, where California, which normally gets hammered with storm after storm after storm during these strong El Nino seasons, missed out totally. And again, I believe it was 2015-16. So each El Nino is different, but if we're going on past track records, it doesn't favor above normal precip for our area. And again, the key is how do October and November set up in regards to the LRC? Are we in a stormy cycle during that period? If we are, that's good, because then that will cycle back throughout the winter. But if it's dry, October, November into early December, that is not going to be good for the upcoming winter. So we'll keep a very close eye on that. As heck, October's not that far away, believe it or not.
Just received a press release while we've been on air from North Dakota Stockmen's Association announcing that Governor Kelly Armstrong and Ag Commissioner Doug Goring have voted with the State Water Commission to activate a water supply assistance program for livestock producers. The governor has declared a drought disaster for extremely dry conditions across North Dakota. If you look at the U.S. Drought Monitor map released last Thursday, 33% of North Dakota is in a moderate drought, 28% in severe, and 2.3% in extreme drought. Hey, I know where that's at. The first report this summer to include the extreme drought status. The remainder of the state was rated abnormally dry, except for a little portion of Dickey County. So July ranked as one of the hottest and driest on record in North Dakota. And that put a big strain on livestock producers who are just trying to keep herds fed and watered and operations afloat. So the action supports producers who want to invest in water projects that will help them get through the current drought and make their operations more resilient against the future droughts that may happen. It was the 5th warmest July on record in North Dakota, average high temperature of 87 degrees, and the 12th driest July on record with a total of 1.25 inches of precipitation according to the state climate office. And many areas of the state receive less than an inch of rain throughout the month of July. So we have dried up stock dams, and usually producers are trying to do some grazing. And water quality is at a diminished level because you have algae forming on some of this stagnant, still shallow water. So $2 million now available for drought disaster livestock water supply assistance, and it will cost share assistance on items like new wells, rural water system connections, pipeline extensions, pasture taps, and association of costs such as labor, materials, and so much more. Cost share will be done on up to 3 projects per producer. Maybe you reimburse up to 65%, no more than $10,000 of the eligible cost of product, and it will be funded by oil extraction tax revenue. So that's new news as of today, just in fact about a half hour ago, in regards to what the state is wanting to do to keep some water afloat, you might say.
And speaking of water, Bridgette, we have some of the best listeners, and I would like to make a correction. I believe I said Lake Havasu. I meant to say Lake Mead or Lake Powell. Lake Mead is the one that supplies everything to the Hoover Dam. So that was the wrong lake I was talking about, but it's the same.
And that was on the Colorado that runs to that lake, right? It's
Right.
Colorado River that was tamed by Hoover Dam. Yep. So that's all our power generation there.
Yeah. So they're at record lows out there. So a big thank you to did he leave his name there, Addison, or no?
So I believe it was Todd.
Todd, thanks, Todd. Appreciate the call. Appreciate
Very nice.
it.
Also, I just received a message from a listener asking if we have any knowledge of ag disaster talk for eastern North Dakota. I have not seen anything about that yet. I'm probably not as involved in political circles that might be sharing some of that information. But as soon as we do hear something like that, we'll want to share that. We've got a lot of producers who are curious, who would like to know, and it's going to help them to do some planning for now and in the future as well, I'm sure. So how about something that'll bring a little bit of fun and sunshine to our day? Well, maybe we've got enough sunshine, but how about a little fun? We all know Lawrence Welk, right?
Oh, we're going
He's
way back.
Famous for, we're going way back. There's no doubt. The man loved an accordion, a good waltz, and a lot of bubbles. So what he did was in 1960, he founded the Lawrence Welk Family Foundation, and it supported children and families that lived in poverty. But he was extremely proud of being from a diverse agricultural state like North Dakota. So when he had an idea, he took it right to fruition, and he helped by February of 1978, working with the Red River Valley potato growers to bring a truck carrying 45,000 pounds of potatoes to Los Angeles. And then Lawrence Welk and the Valley Potato Grower Association staff visited 13 different institutions to disperse the donation. Each 50-pound bag was labeled, "These potatoes donated by Lawrence Welk and the Red River Valley potato growers." So just when you thought you knew a guy, nope, there he is handing out potatoes because he thinks he should. I thought that was a great story from him. Much appreciated to see that. All right, when we return, we'll talk a little bit about genetic conservation. That's where we're putting seeds to save them. And have you had trouble finding cherries on the grocery store shelf? Well, if so, I think I know why. We'll talk about that when we return.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Temperatures outside are in the low to mid 70s across much of the area. There's a few scattered areas with upper 60s, but a cooler day than we've seen recently. But hey, after high temps yesterday, actually topped out at 91. That's our 24th day. 24th day of 90 or above so far this summer. The record is 39. Obviously, we're not gonna get that, but it'll be interesting to see where the final total is. I do see 2, maybe 3 more 90-degree days, if not maybe a little bit more, but about 2 or 3. As I do see a surge of heat coming in, as we've been saying, towards the end of the month. So I think we'll see at least a couple more 90-degree days. So it has been, and it's not a surprise, an above normal summer across much of the area. Now, precip-wise, there is a little bit in the forecast, but not for today. Today's looking like a nice one out there under a lot of sunshine, a few clouds in the far southern valley and out to the west. But other than that, a decent day. Highs in the upper 70s with a northwest wind about 10 to 20. Clearing out tonight and pleasantly cool. Lows around 50 with light northwest winds. And then Wednesday, look for a sunny start and then partly cloudy late in the day with highs in the low 80s. There is a slight chance for an isolated storm or two Wednesday night. Again, keyword is isolated. And then we'll warm things up into the mid to upper 30s on Thursday. Or 30s, 80s. Geez, mid to upper 30s? That would be nice for a little change. How about mid to upper 80s on Thursday? And then Friday, mid 80s. Saturday, low 80s. Back into the mid 80s Sunday. And we're seeing signs of a slightly better chance for a few more storms Sunday. It looks like evening Sunday night. And then temperatures remaining in the 80s to start off next week. And this weather this hour has been brought to you by the Hot Tub and Sauna Store. Discover the wellness you deserve at the Hot Tub and Sauna Store in West Fargo. Sink into a brand new Caldera spa. I'll tell you, it doesn't get better than that. After a long day or a stressful day at work, sink into that hot tub built for pure comfort, super efficient energy use as well, and easy salt water maintenance. Just imagine every night that perfect nightly soak. And you can also try a Finleo sauna. Those are nice for training, detox, and just truly relaxing right at home as well. The Hot Tub and Sauna Store. Stop by today next to Costco in West Fargo. And it's nights like tonight or when it gets down into those, upper 40s to low 50s. That's great hot tub weather. You can't beat it. Can't beat it.
Well, this is usually the time of the year, especially with the month of July. So many folks are buying cherries. They're in season. There are fundraisers and promotions. But if you've noticed a little shortfall in the number of cherries that are being sold or the quantity or the quality of them, I think I might know why. There were spring freezes in a number of areas that really impacted growing regions across the country. The tart cherry processors in the southwest and western regions of Michigan expected to have at least 90% lower production than last year. Their northwest region might be a little higher. Wisconsin's production is estimated to be at least 20% lower. And also Washington State, the largest producing state, is down 23% year on year from last year. So you were looking forward to that summer cherry pie, get them fast if you see them, because the chances are things are a little bit thin in the inventory of those cherries right now. And when we worry about where to store seeds, some of us, when we raise our gardens, hold some seeds over so that we can use those seeds again the next year. But globally, that's actually a real thing. Buried deep inside a mountainside in Norway, more than 1.3 million seed varieties from around the world are locked away for safekeeping. It was first opened in 2008, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, and it kind of acts like insurance for other seed gene banks. Seeds here are stored at -4 degrees, and they remain viable for decades. We know that varieties that are stored here will grow well in very optimum conditions, but we also realize that sometimes the seed diversity is lost over the years. So to safeguard that, USDA maintains 23 plant gene banks in the continental U.S. and Puerto Rico as part of the Germplasm Resources Information Network. And they use those gene banks to bolster new seed varieties. They're stored at low temperatures, low humidity, and periodically the seeds are planted to be replenished. So for most row crops, that happens about every 10 to 30 years. The USDA gene banks have also been used to develop varieties like high oleic soybeans, and funding is a concern. They require long-term commitments and budgets. And so, folks, if you want to see those preserved, that is actually dollars that need to come out of taxpayer funding, et cetera. Because if you want to conserve crop diversity forever, funding those seed banks is something that needs to be done, not just for 29 of the next 50 years, but really for all 50. Globally, there are genetic seed banks in places you might not consider, like Lebanon, Morocco. And when you think about the country of Syria, they actually have had one of the largest and most diverse seed banks. Back in 2011, they were on the brink of civil war, and those seeds were just in the nick of time moved into Norway for safekeeping.
All right, well, that'll do it for Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.